قناة نداء الدعوة تقدم
soul. Allah has breathed the soul into it, and you want to kill it? He said, yeah, because we don't have cash, we don't have money. Subhanallah. Others, when they did a survey, the most top reason for stress is how people look. And this is obvious with sisters who spend usually few hours in front of the mirror, but the mirror does not respond back. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Definitely not you. This is a problem. Nowadays, mashallah, men are also stressful. I've seen men plucking their eyebrows, putting creams and foundation. Once I was talking to a brother, and he was giving me so much detailed information about makeups, about foundation, about subhanallah. What kind of men are we having? These types of stress is negative and definitely not among the things that would draw you closer to Allah. Look at the West. Look at the disbelievers who are civilized, who have all means of prosperity and a happy living. They commit suicide like crazy. They commit heinous crimes. They go into a high school, they kill innocent students. Subhanallah. Why are you doing this? My cat didn't eat the food yesterday. So I went into a rampage and I killed like 24 people. Going to Las Vegas, killing 50, 60, 70 people. Why are you doing this? They're stressed over things that have no value. They're committing suicide. Why? Because my hair is falling and I cannot live with it. I tried everything I couldn't. A woman commits suicide because she has a skin disease and people do not look at her. Subhanallah. Prophet Ayub, Prophet Jacob was left near the junkyard. For 18 years people neglected him. Were disgusted by him because of the illness that took place. 18 years. And he was patient, tolerant, and he was a prophet of Allah. And you, because of this tiny thing, this what you do? So, if we were to look into the issue from an Islamic perspective, we find that stress is inevitable, but we tend to adapt. We tend to adapt to it in a way that turns it into positive and draws us closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. The Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, in a beautiful hadith, to all those who have worries and calamities, to all those who are stressed, you're a believer? Yes, inshallah. Listen, the Prophet says, alayhi salam, how wonderful is the affair of the believer. For all his affairs are good. Even if I have a surgery, it's good for you. Even if I break my leg, it's good for you. The Prophet says, and this applies to no one except the believer. If something good happens to him, I get a raise, I get a gift of money, my children pass the exam. If something good happens to him, he gives thanks to Allah, and that is good for him. And if something bad happens to him, he bears it with patience, and that is good for him. Narrated by Imam Muslim. So in both cases, it's a win-win. Now you tell me, Sheikh, that if you're driving, by the way, I parked here, a very beautiful parking downstairs, a very small place. I thought it was reserved for me. So inshallah, nothing happens to my car. If I come out and I find it, a hit, or I have an accident, how would I feel? I will feel stressed. But this comes in like a fraction of a second, then I say, Alhamdulillah, it could have been worse. I could have hit someone and killed him. I could have been the one who was hit, not my car. So always think positive, and you acknowledge the fact that Allah Azza wa Jal is saving that for you on the day of judgment. Worrying is inevitable. Being stressed is something human. You have to have it, but you have to know how to live with it. How to transfer it into something positive. Listen to this beautiful hadith. The Prophet ﷺ is dividing people into two types in terms of their worry anxiety, etc. He says, whoever is mainly concerned about the hereafter, yani all your worries, all your motivation is concerned with the hereafter, with al-akhirah. It is stated that the people in UK worship Allah on Sundays, those who are committed, and worship Barclay Bank the rest of the week. Nowadays Muslims are like this, but I don't know which bank is it, Rajhi or Ahli. Unfortunately, we tend to worship Allah 24/7, even in our leisure, even in our playtime, even when being intimate with our spouses. This is for the sake of Allah. We're having fun and we're being rewarded for it. So the Prophet says, alayhi salatu wasalam, whoever is mainly concerned about the hereafter, Allah will make him feel independent of others, will make him focused and content, and his worldly affairs will fall into place. But whoever is mainly concerned with this dunya, with this world, all what he thinks about, how much I'm gonna earn, what about the raise, what about the incentive, what about my rent, what about my children going into international school or to Indian school or Pakistani, Bangladeshi or Sri Lankan or an Arab school, what about my this, and all what they think and concerned of is dunya. But whoever is mainly concerned with this world, Allah will make him feel in constant need of others and will make him distracted and unfocused, and he will get nothing of this world except what Allah had decreed for him. This is scary when you hear this and you find that this is exactly how we feel, distracted, unfocused, because all what goes into our minds, even just the second before we fall asleep, this world, what will I do? What will I be able to sustain a happy life? Will I be able to do this or that? We have a problem. The solution. We have 6 minutes next lecture, inshallah. We'll give you the for the second episode, where we will, inshallah, see a preview of it. You can tune to YouTube. Well, I'll make it in the discussion. In the discussion, Sheikh says in the discussion. So, I have solutions like seriously it would take an hour. We can summarize it in a couple of minutes, but I will not give it its due right. So maybe in the discussion, inshallah, we will talk more and elaborate more on this. بإذن الله. هذا والله أعلم ونسبة العلم لله أسلم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.
بارك الله فيك شيخنا. MashaAllah. Thank you for keeping to the time. Like I said, we wanted to keep this evening, inshallah, more of a discussion and to get you involved. So we will open the floor, inshallah, to questions. I don't know what the provision will be from the sister side. Maybe they can write them on a piece of paper. It's probably the best way, Sheikh. If they have a mic and they can speak. Sheikh Isa, if you can look into that, whether it's paper or voice. We have a good number of sisters that are here, so they should get a fair chance to ask their questions, because I think the men cause a lot of stress for the sisters anyway. Okay, so they need to be given that chance. Okay, Bismillah. So we will, if you raise your hand, I don't know if we have a microphone, but if you just raise your voice and I will repeat the question to the Sheikh and he will respond accordingly. Bismillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Sheikh, for everything there is a beginning and there is an end. So I would like to know, for stress, what's the beginning? And for stress, what is the end?
Okay, I'll just repeat the question. The brother said, everything has a beginning and an end. So what is the beginning of stress? And what is the end of stress?
Well, it depends on the incident. So if I'm stressed about financial reasons and constraints, this is the beginning. I have to pay X amount which I do not have. How does it end? it either ends by getting the money and khalas, I have no stress, I have surplus, or by my belief and conviction. And this is one of the best or second best cures for it. The issue of being content, the issue of believing in Allah's predestining. Now, if you have this, the knowledge, we all have it. The implementation is the most difficult part. So many times I get these ideas because I won't be sharing something personal, but maybe it's personal, who knows. I have 9 girls who are not married. I have 4 that are married, alhamdulillah, with grandchildren, happy. I have 9 that are not married. Every time I go to bed, Shaitan comes, he says, don't sleep. If you die, who will marry them? Who will take care of them? Who will give them a house to live in? Who will make sure that they marry the right man? And then I say to him, hey, listen, I have Fajr to wake up for. You crazy? Come in Fajr. I tell myself, this is not in my hand. This is something that Allah wrote 50,000 years before creating the creation. Imagine the Prophet tells us, Hassan, when Allah first created the pen, Allah told the pen to write. The pen said, what should I write, O my Lord? Allah told him, write the destiny of all creation until the day of judgment. The Prophet said, Hassan, and this was 50,000 years before Allah created the universe, the creation. So if it is done and over with, why should I care? So your stress ends the moment you have this conviction. Look around you. Who provides for you? Answer. Allah Azza wa Jal. Yes, Sheikh, but my salary has been deducted, so many things, I have so much to pay. Akhi, who's the provider? Allah Azza wa Jal. Look around you. How many animals do we have on the surface of the earth? Lions, gazelles, cheetahs. How many birds? How many fish in the oceans? How many insects? Who is feeding them?
Allah.
How many degrees do they have? Masters, MBA, PhD, experience, CVs, nothing. They go in the morning and they come in the evening with filled bellies and they're feeding their children, and the house, the rent, alhamdulillah, is free. May Allah grant this house with free rent. This is how, if you have this content, you will not have stress. But the issue is when stress keeps on eating you. Yeah, I know, I believe that Allah Azza wa Jal has preordained everything, but no, as Queen Victoria used to say, but me no but. Don't put any buts. Khalas, full stop, have conviction, your stress is over, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek. Sheikh Isa, the sister's questions. Okay, while we're waiting for the sisters, we'll take another one from the brother's side.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Sheikh, it's very delighted to see you. Last time I met you, we went to Abu Dhabi together in the flight. I do have your business card also. Sheikh, my question is, now stress, sometimes personal and the business, most of the time it comes from the business atmosphere, corporate level. How do brothers or how employee can manage this kind of stress?
Okay, just to repeat the question, the brother mentioned that stress in terms of the workplace and business related comes from the environment, and of course most of the brothers work in very competitive environments. So how does one deal with that?
The same, Akhi, the same thing. See, when you are challenged, not mentally, when you are challenged in an environment, it's like when you go to the gym. When you go to the gym and you see people pumping iron and bench pressing 100 kg, 200 pounds, and I go with this is stressful, man. I'll get someone from abroad on my visa and give him a visa and let him work out for 2 hours, sweat like crazy, go home, have a shower. Alhamdulillah, I worked out. He worked out, but how to solve such a stress? It's a challenge. You take everything in life as a challenge. So this stress becomes positive. In corporate life, which I was fortunate to work for about 12 years before, alhamdulillah, retiring personally out of my own will, not to do any job. I'm a bum. I don't have any jobs at the moment. I just, come here and give a lecture and leave. Easy life, alhamdulillah. Allahumma laka alhamd. So I, out of my own choice, left it. Why? Simply because it was stressful. But even through stress, with the grace of Allah Azza wa Jalla, the only thing that was stressing me was waking up and working 9 hours a day. That's it. Work itself, whether there's the CEO, the VP, or the directors, we were all in harmony in the sense that you communicate. Don't be stubborn. Don't always say my way or the highway. Be flexible. If you're flexible, even with your wife, with your spouse, you lead a happy life. If you're flexible with whatever happens, someone crosses in front of you, fuel car, drivers in Jeddah are the best drivers in the world. This is what I used to think until I went to Calcutta. MashaAllah. So, drivers are awful here. They don't respect anyone. So someone comes in and cuts in front of me with his car. What happens? I'm stressful. What do you want to do? I want to go and cut in front of him, and if I can, let him have an accident in the light bulb. If possible. If not, then I want to make... Why? Because he did this to me. Again, why? It could have been worse. He could have hit you. And then you would come out, oh, my new car, and you start crying and wailing. But Allah saved you from this. You want to pursue it, so you have to try to be tolerant. You have to be flexible, ready to accept that you live a good life. Thirdly, you do your due diligence. You do your job. No one can speak against you. If you do whatever is in your job description and you exceed that, no one can criticize you. If they do criticize you, I have my results. This is my work. So you are stressful when you don't do your job. When people criticize you for coming late or for delaying, handing or achieving your target, you become stressful because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. If you do it, and if you know how to be flexible and to balance your time, life would be very easy.
Okay, we have some questions from the sister side. The first one here, how to deal with the stress when people insult you?
Okay. You can have two ways. One, either to talk back. So one tells me, insults me, I insult him back. Would this end it or escalate it?
Escalate.
It will escalate. So it depends on how you can deal with others. Some people shoot first, then ask questions. And this is wrong. You have to train yourself, condition yourself. 20, 25 years ago, Nokia phones. The moment we used to buy them, it tells you to condition your battery. Charge it to the full and wait until it dries out completely, then charge it again, just expand it. You have to do the same with your own battery. How is that, Sheikh? It's difficult, but it is needed. Now, when someone insults you, they live on your reaction. People live on how angry you get. So when I insult you and you turn into red and you start shouting, cursing, insulting me, I'm satisfied. Look at what he's doing. Look at what he's doing. Subhanallah. This is how you were brought up. This is how your parents brought you up? Subhanallah. This is Islam? Look at your long beard. Ya akhi, shave your beard if you cannot behave well. This is what they tell us. So they live, they thrive on making you angry and they on provoking you. But when you, and this is what I always tell the sisters, if you ask me questions on my website, I hope you don't because I can barely answer them, alhamdulillah, now. But if all the sisters who ask me, Sheikh, my mother-in-law, and I spent days trying to analyze MIL. Every woman says, Sheikh, my MIL. I said, I know MIB. MIL. And I kept on thinking, and then I came to, alhamdulillah, okay, mother-in-law. So they complain, Sheikh, my mother-in-law criticizes me. My mother-in-law checks on me to see if I'm asleep or not because she wants me to wake up early and to clean and to do. My mother-in-law says that I'm getting fat, and my other sister-in-law, I'm not serving her, I'm not cooking. They complain a lot. So I always give the same answer. And this is one of the ways of solving your stress issues. And that is, do not get involved with trivial and small issues. Think big. So I always tell the sisters, imagine that there are people, Muslims like you and me, out there who are starving and unable to get food to eat. Is that true? In refugee camps. There are Muslims in drought-stricken areas. They have famine and drought, no rain. And they're looking for a grain to eat, traveling tens of kilometers just for a glass of water. There are Muslims in countries that find no security. You pray 5 times in the masjid, huh? You go shopping, you come back, there's no bombing, there's no shelling, there's no assassinations. There's not even people stealing you. Ya Rabbi lak alhamd. There are people who are traveling from country to country, facing drowning in the middle of the sea. Refugees, they have no place to go. So I tell this sister, your mother-in-law or these calamities? She says, no, my mother-in-law, bring me another one. I'll bring you a co-wife. She said, no, then I'd like another calamity. So this is one way of doing it, but still, Sheikh, I believe that I'm in ni'mah, in a favor and blessing. But how can I face such insults? I'll tell you how. It needs training and conditioning. First of all, when anyone insults you, do not argue with him. Never defend yourself. So she says, why didn't you cook the food? Don't say, I cooked yesterday and the day before and the day before, but today I had this, no. Just keep on smiling. That's dumb, but it works. Never defend yourself. Never argue. Yeah, but you did this, I did that. You said this, I said that. Never argue. A big smile. And just be polite. Why didn't you clean the house? Inshallah. Shrug your shoulders and move on. After 3 or 4 or 5 attempts, they will feel silly and they will stop. Because what they thrive on is provoking you and making you angry, making you shout, making you disrespectful and impolite. But you're exactly doing the opposite. So who is disrespectful? Who is impolite? Who is the one on the wrong end? They are. Is this easy, Sheikh? No. But life is not easy. You have to work on it. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, you know him? Some describe him as the 5th caliph. He was a righteous, pious, wise, knowledgeable man. He was a Khalifa. Once he entered Masjid al-Madinah, al-Nabawi, al-Masjid al-Nabawi, with his bodyguard. And it was before Fajr. They didn't have any lanterns, no lights like they do, mashallah, now today. It's daytime, 24/7. So he went in the darkness, tried to manage his way because there were people sleeping on the ground trying to reach the front row. And while attempting to do this, he stepped on a man who was asleep without knowledge, without knowing, without intending. So the man woke up in pain, frightened, shouting, "What are you? Are you blind? Are you crazy?" Insulting, but usually it comes without knowledge. He didn't know who he was addressing. So the Khalifa Umar said, "No," and walked away. Now the bodyguard wanted to fulfill his job description. So he grabbed the man, he wanted to give him a beating. This is what they usually do. They're good at this. So the Khalifa said, "What are you doing? Leave him." He said, "Didn't you hear what he said?" He said, "Yes, he asked me a question and I answered him." "Are you crazy?" "No." "Are you blind?" "No." "Salam alaikum." So when someone comes to you and says, "Are you a donkey?" people get offended. I have even my children, when I speak to them, when someone tells you, "Are you a donkey?" answer them, say, "No." When someone tells you, "You are a donkey," will you grow ears and a tail? No. Just shrug your shoulders and walk away. This is a sign of strength. Fighting is not a sign of strength. Controlling your anger, trying to tolerate such an insult is a sign of strength, and Allah knows best.
Okay, one more from the sister side. A friend has loss of appetite and is overly stressed due to issues at work. He constantly feels anxiety and depression. So what's the solution for this?
Again, the solution is in over so many points that I have collected. But again, believe in Allah. Trust Allah. Depend on Allah. Have total reliance on Allah Azza wa Jal. Things will move on. Now, you have to know that being stressed will not solve anything. You have a calamity. You have stress at work. Bang your head as hard as possible in the wall. Even if it leads to make a crack in it, no problem. Do it. Will your problem be solved? Weep and cry all day long. Will anything happen? The scholars say, in a calamity, a wise man does what a fool does a month later. Let's assume that we have a wise person and a fool. And each one of them was afflicted by a calamity. Their son died. What will the fool do? He will cry, bang his head, tear his clothes, slap his face for a whole month. After 1 month, what will happen? He will forget and calm down. A wise man does that from the first day. Alas, he knows that it had taken place. The damage is done. So why increase it? Try to preserve whatever is possible. So therefore, I forgot the question. Yes, at work. So a loss of appetite and the stress you are getting at work. Why make others depressed as well? If you have problems at work, wallahi, when I used to work before becoming a mom, you find donation boxes at the entrance for me if you want it. No problem. When I was at work, I worked for 15 years as a school teacher in high school, public high school. And then 7 years as a public relation manager in a global company. Alhamdulillah, I used to travel a lot. And 5 years a director in human resources in a mining company. So they were decent jobs, alhamdulillah. I would never ever tell my wife anything about work. Neither good nor bad. When I come home, I'm home. Yeah, I am a father, I am a husband. My work has nothing to do with my wife. She says, "What happened?" "Everything is fine." And I had 3 fights. But everything is fine, everything is fine. This is how you should be. Work is at work. Home, like Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "I love to see a man in his home like a child playing." So you're serious when you're outside. I'm afraid I'm the opposite. Anyhow, you're serious outside. Everything is okay. But when you're home, you're like a child playing with your wife, with the children. You lift up your guard because they are your family. So if you do this, you manage, inshallah, to live a stressless life. Don't share your problems with them and make them depressed. Eat. Try to enjoy life. Try to see the full half of the glass rather than the empty half of the glass. Though it's the same glass. If we have a glass filled with half of it water, if you're pessimistic, you'd say it's half full. If you're optimistic, you say, let me reverse that. If you are pessimistic, you would say it's half empty. And if you're optimistic, you'd say it's half full. It's the same glass. So try to do this, train yourself, condition it, and inshallah, you will have a better appetite.
There's a lot of questions here. I will group them together, and inshallah we'll try to go through them. One question here, Sheikh. What is a good dua to make when someone is in stress and asking for patience?
The best dua that the Prophet directed us for, alayhi salatu wassalam, is the dua of the Noon. Who's the Noon? Prophet Yunus. Who's Prophet Yunus? The one who was swollen by the whale. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wassalam, the dua of my brother, the Noon, when he asked Allah while he was in the belly of the whale, La ilaha illa anta subhanak inni kuntu min al-zalimin. Repeat this a gazillion times. Keep on repeating it. All stress will go away. The Prophet ﷺ said, no one supplicates with it except Allah will answer his supplication. So you want a raise in your pay, you want your debts to be paid off, you want your spouse to become righteous, continue reciting this dua when you ask Allah for something. Also, the Prophet ﷺ said to Asma bint Umays. Asma bint Umays, may Allah be pleased with her, was one of the great female companions of the Prophet ﷺ. So many times we are stressed because of divorce. Sisters write to me. She says, Sheikh, I was divorced 3 times. I'm 25 years of age. 3 times. Of course, it's not her mistake. A drunkard, a drug addict, and someone who does not pray. What does she have to do with all of this? It's a wrong choice by her parents. Alhamdulillah. And she says, I'm stressful. I've lost hope in life. Don't. Asma bint Umays, may Allah be pleased with her, was married to 3 of the companions. Not due to divorce, but this is her fate. She was married to Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, had 3 children of him. He was martyred in the Ma'rakat of Mu'tah. Then Abu Bakr married her and had a son from her called Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. And then he died and she washed him. Then she married Ali ibn Abi Talib, the brother of Ja'far. So 3 great companions were married to this great woman. And she asked the Prophet ﷺ that I'm stressed, I'm tired. What should I say? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, should I teach you words that you say at times of calamity? So the Prophet is teaching her, and this is the best of things you can say in times of calamity. What is it? The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Allahu Rabbi la ushriku bihi shay'an. That's it. That's it. What does it mean, Sheikh? How can it help? Tawheed is the best cure to your stress. Allahu Rabbi. Now I am stressed. My wife is nagging all the time and she's causing me trouble. She wants to go to places I cannot afford it. She wants to change the furniture of the house. I cannot afford it. She wants this and that and I cannot do it for her. She is killing me. I'm diabetic, I have blood pressure, I have this and that because of my wife. Inshallah she's not listening. She is a sweetheart, mashallah. Yeah, but I'm trying to. No, she seriously, mashallah. She lived with me for 34 years. What do you expect? We were married in the past century. That's old. How old she is? Anyhow, so I'm stressed. What should I say? Allahu Rabbi. I acknowledge that Allah is my Lord and I do not associate others with Him, and I among monotheism, among Tawheed, you repeat this, all your worries will go away. Because when you look at things after repeating this so long, you tend to see them differently. How? Allah Azza wa Jalla is my Lord. He takes care of me. He provides for me. He gives me sustenance. He gives me the breath that I take and I breathe. He makes the blood runs into my veins. So what could worry me in this life? Nothing. So whenever you repeat on this, this will inshallah help you a lot. Of course, among the dua, and this requires a separate lecture, among the great du'as that the Prophet ﷺ used to often repeat, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-hammi wal-hazan wal-ajzi wal-kasal wal-bukhli wal-jubun wa dala' ad-dayn wa ghalabat al-rijal. 8 things. The first two, Sheikh Yusuf had mentioned earlier in his opening speech, when he said that the things that stress you maybe in the past, things that sadden you, a loss of a loved one, a loss of a fortune, a loss of health, something that is gone, or something that is coming in the future that you're fearful of. So al-hazan is what was in the past. Allahumma na'udhu bika min al-ham. Al-ham is what is coming in the future that you always think about. My children, will they be able to go to university? Will they be guided? This is what I think most of the time, and the majority of my dua is on this, that Allah guides my children, Allah makes them righteous and imams for the Muslims, and Allah that grants them a righteous spouse and offspring. This is what we care about. So this is in the future, ham. Al-hazan, things that I've done in the past that I don't know whether Allah will forgive or not. May Allah Azza wa Jalla forgive all our sins.
Okay.
Stupid, dumb phones. They call them smartphones. I call them dumb phones. I see my children when we sit at my mother's house, their grandmother, and each one is holding the phone, and my mom shouts at them, if you want to visit me, don't bring these devices with you. It's a shame that when it's lunchtime, we WhatsApp one another. Although we're in the same room, it's lunchtime. Come and eat. We're in the same room. What is this? I feel that these smartphones fit in the category of wine, intoxicants, and gambling. Allah says in the Quran, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They ask you, O Muhammad, about intoxicants and gambling. قُلْ فِيهِمَا قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. Say that in these two there is great sin and some benefits, and the sin outweighs the benefit. What is the conclusion? Allah doesn't tell you it's haram. Khalas, you understand. Because whatever outweighs the other takes the ruling. So, if you look at these phones, can we... Yes. If we look at these smartphones, these PDAs, these laptops, is there any good and benefit in them? Yes, definitely. No one can say no. But the harm outweighs, especially in the wrong hands. So if I have a Veyron or a Tesla P100, one of the fastest cars in the world, from 0 to 100. Expensive, but a little bit faster. Is it good? Yes, mashallah. If I give it to the wrong hands, if I give it to a child who does not know how to drive it, would it be bad? It will kill him. So these devices are good in the hands of 1%. Even the old people, the grown-ups, even my father, your uncle, your brother, it's harmful for them. I get loads of emails from sisters. My husband is addicted to Facebook. Or as Sheikh Wajdi Akkari says, face hell. It's not Facebook. Or Twitter. You find people like spending 5-6 hours. I have imams of masjids, friends of mine, since the introduction of WhatsApp, their level of iman has dropped so hugely, I'm shocked. We have a group. I have only 1 or 2 groups on WhatsApp. I don't deal with it. I hate it. Especially when people ask me questions. Because on my small phone I have big fingers, so I keep on writing phrases instead of letters. And since the introduction of WhatsApp, in this group, the brother is an imam. And he sends so many inappropriate clips. Women without hijab, music in the background, jokes. And we keep on telling him, Akhi, feel Allah, what is this? He said, oh, we're all over 50, it's okay. Subhanallah. These devices made people evil. More evil than what they are. What's between them and Allah, only Allah knows. The problem is what they share with others. Nowadays, people are exposing their own awrah on Snapchat, on Instagram. I got one Saudi brother from a very reputable family coming to me complaining of his daughter showing her pictures on Instagram and Snapchat in her underwear. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect all of our women and our children. What is this? It was stated that in one of the previous years, a nomad, but a Bedouin, came to the Kaaba with feces in a bag at the season of Hajj, trying to tarnish the Kaaba with feces, with dung. And the people caught him, alhamdulillah, before he could do that, beat the heck out of him, and then he was summoned in front of the judge. And the judge said, are you a Muslim? He said, yes. Why are you doing this? Why were you intending to put this filth on Kaaba? He said, I wanted people to mention my name even by cursing. Even if they say, may Allah curse him, but they've mentioned me. Fame, wanting to be known, wanting to be heard of. Look at Twitter. So many Muslims are saying so many heinous things, bad things about Islam, about their families. Stand-up comedians. Go to any Muslim, so-called Saudi stand-up comedians, or not Saudi, they make fun of themselves, of their wives, of their tribe, of their culture, just to make people what? Laugh at them. It's fame that they're seeking. So my latest discovery was, since 2 years now, I prohibit any of my children to have a smartphone. You know the Nokia of electricians, the one with the light? That's good, 15 years, 18 years. MashaAllah, that's the best. When I travel, I always take one beside my stupid phone. Because this one lasts for 5 days, the battery. Mine lasts for a couple of hours and you have to, Akhi, mumkin charger, please charger, please. Do you have any juice? What juice? Yeah, only juice. No, juice. Electricity. This lasts for 5 days. So I decided, I'm fighting with my kids. They say, no smartphone except when you go to university. High school, finish it with the normal Nokia. Love it or leave it. So I don't know if this is applicable for you guys. I don't know if I can go further a year or two with this condition that I had set to myself, but pray for me and I'll pray for you, inshallah.
There's one question here, and I think many of you probably relate to this. They're saying that they don't have enough time and how to increase blessings in time. I think Sheikh will agree that there are many self-help strategies, different techniques to organize yourself and increase your time. Of course, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but increase your knowledge, go and do courses online, learn more of how to plan your day and your time. one more Sheikh here regarding Salat al-Istikhara. The sister mentions that they're not sure, they're stressed out. How do they know what is the right outcome and how to deal with istikhara?
The problem with istikhara, this is a frequently asked question. Every time I get the same question over and over and over again. Istikhara is not helping you to choose between two things. This is what the confusion comes. Oh Sheikh, I have two suitors. One is a doctor and one is an engineer. They're all religiously committed, etc., etc., etc. I don't know which one to choose. I prayed istikhara for a week and I'm waiting for a dream. I'm waiting for a window from the heavens to open and lanterns come in. I'm waiting for something, a voice to call me or something. Akhi, this is, or sister, ukhti, this is nonsense. The hadith of the istikhara is explaining itself. The Prophet says, alayhi salam, if one of you intends, two underlines, one red, one blue. If it's black and white, just have it black. If one of you intends something, he should pray 2 rak'ahs out of the fariḍah and give the dua. Which means that if I'm hesitant, Ya Allah, should I buy the red car or the blue car? I'm hesitant. Praying istikhara does not work. It does not help. Because I have not made a decision. I have to make my decision. Oh, blue is good because red attracts bulls. So they say bulls are colorblind, but I'm not willing to try. So I'm going to go for the blue car. Khalas, okay, Bismillah. I have the money, I have the registration fees, etc. Now I pray 2 rak'ahs. And I make dua, oh Allah, if there is good in it for me to buy the blue car, I've completely forgotten about the red car. It's not even in my agenda. I'm just focusing on one specific. Make it happen. If not, distract it away, replace it with something better and make it happen. I've tried this gazillion times with the grace of Allah, and this comforts your heart, makes you stressless. I go to the showroom with my cash in my pocket, everything, and I go there and I say, this is the car I want. He says, okay, but because of Eid, we will give you the registration and the car after 2 weeks, inshallah. Huh. Immediately I'm turned off, said, I don't want it. Khalas, it comes out of my heart. You say, okay, this Muhammad is coming to propose to her, not me. We're not that civilized. So, she prays istikhara. Tonight is the meeting. He comes to the interview. Her father is there. She comes out to him. She meets him. And he says something that turns her off. Did you have any affairs before? Get the hell out of here. What kind of a question would any Muslim ask? This is inappropriate, it's insulting. Oh, I was just checking. Check from the outside, please, and close the door behind you. Okay, came out, khalas, this is the result of the istikhara. But so many times you're hesitant, you make istikhara, and all of a sudden everything happens in seconds. Alhamdulillah, khair in it. Go with it. So this, inshallah, I hope answers your question.
Barakallahu feek, Shaykh. Inshallah, we have come to the end of our session today, and there are a few questions left, and the brothers didn't get that much of a chance to answer. Inshallah, we will invite the Shaykh back in the future. And also in the meantime, I know the Shaykh, mashallah, tabarakallah, receives a lot of questions daily. However, if you have a specific question, send it on his site and he will do his best to respond to you. Those brothers and sisters who are doing we have a self-assessment questionnaire to see if you are how vulnerable you are to stress. So how the questionnaire works, those who are doing it, if you can just make a note of the results. If you score from 0 to 4.
Write this at the back of the paper, please, what he's going to tell you.
Okay, so this is the results, okay? So if you score from 0 to around 4, okay, that means you're not that likely to be stressed out, okay? And then 5 to 13, possibly you have some characteristics that will lead you to stress, and if you score above 14, then you are potentially highly likely to be stressed out. Okay, so it's just a self-assessment to review yourself, to see where you are, and hopefully it's helpful to analyze yourself, inshallah. So inshallah, we will finish and bring this to an end, inshallah. And I want to thank the brothers and sisters and the center for organizing this great gathering. And I want to thank the Sheikh for his time, taking out from his very busy schedule. And inshallah, we hope to bring him back. Also, inshallah, next month we hope to bring another speaker towards the end of March, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, on another subject. And we will end it there with the dua.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. أسأل الله عز وجل, with His beautiful names and glorious attributes, that He gives us a stressless life and to grant us full dependence and reliance on Him, and to provide us with halal that would suffice us from even looking or wishing from haram, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best.